lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has taught us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn has died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears has been scattered. We have come hitting our past through the blood of the slaughtered. Out of the glooming past till we may stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star has passed. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in thy path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our heart, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand. True to our God, true to our native land.
Go ahead and be seated. Brother Minister Lee Muhammad is coming now with our prayer and greetings.
Brothers and sisters, we're going to open up in prayer. Would you please stand for our opening prayer? Thank you. Just bow your heads where you are. In the name of our God, the God of our forefathers, foremothers, we thank you for this evening and this day, for gathering us together in your name. We pray that we may be enlightened to get knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, that we may carry forth that wisdom to make our communities a clean, better, safe place to live. In your name, in the name of all of your prophets and servants, we pray. Amen. You may be seated. First of all, let me thank you all for coming out. Let me thank Dr. Bell for the opportunity to stand before the people of God. We are here today, dear brothers and sisters, to celebrate another year of Kwanzaa. We thank the father of Kwanzaa, Malena Karinga, for his foresight and his vision. And tonight, I just want to remind us that we are here to celebrate. So y'all can put a smile on your face, get a little happy, because this is our day. This is the time that we celebrate who we are, our culture, where we come from, and we do it unapologetically. All right? We make no apologies for what we've been through, because we know we're not where we need to be, but we got a ways to go. And so we want to celebrate this evening, and we want to, second of all, remind ourselves of the struggles of our many forefathers, foremothers who died, Marcus Garvey, W.B. Du Bois, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, all of those worthy warriors who fought for us, and we're standing on their shoulders tonight. And so tonight we want to remind ourselves of that struggle, and we want to remind everybody else in the world that we are still here as a people. No matter what we went through, no matter what they put on us, we have survived to this moment. We have survived COVID. We have survived the transatlantic slave trade. We survived everything because we're the people of God. We've been put in the fire of the furnace of affliction, and we have survived. So you should give yourselves a round of applause for still being here in this hour. And lastly, dear brothers, as I greet you and take my seat, I want us to remember that we are here to celebrate principles. Charismatic leaders may come, they may go. But what remains is the principles that those charismatic leaders stood on that made them truly great. And so tonight, as we go over these principles again, I want us to go into 2024 determined to carry these principles into practice, because the leaders may go, but the principles are eternal. And if we want to be eternal and leave something on to our children besides the legacy of slavery, we want to leave to them a legacy of struggle, gain, and prosperity. So happy Kwanzaa. Thank you for coming, and may God bless you with peace. Assalamu alaikum.
We're here because today is the second day of Kwanzaa, and we're celebrating us. We're not celebrating Santa Claus. We're not celebrating the Easter Bunny. We're celebrating us and our culture. And that's what Kwanzaa is about. We're celebrating us, and we're going to have to learn how to celebrate us with so much self-hatred among us. We haven't really quite learned to love ourselves. And if we haven't learned to love ourselves, it's hard for us to love each other. We'll kill each other because we don't value each other's lives. You know I'm right about it. We don't value, we've been taught not to appreciate each other. We've been taught to celebrate, who's that woman, what's Swift? Taylor Swift and the Kardashians. Keep up with them and all these other folk. And when it comes time to celebrate our history and to celebrate each other, we have a hard time. But tonight, in this week, and Kwanzaa is about celebrating us, about recognizing who we are. We come from, our ancestors come from another place. They come from the cradle of civilization. There were pharaohs and kings and queens. That's who we're descendants of. But white folk have caused us and reduced us to calling each other nigger. No. I'm an African in America. I'm not a Negro, nor am I a nigger. I'm an African in America. My ancestors built the pyramids. My ancestors were the ones, when I read my Bible, I read a black history book. You see, when you allow other folk to teach you what you need to respect, they're not going to teach you to respect yourself. They're going to teach you that if you came, they're going to teach you that Jesus was white, which is a lie. It's not true. They're going to teach you all of that stuff because, you know, when people win because of their barbaric ways and because, you know, all the other stuff they do, don't mind killing folk. When they teach you stuff like that and you start believing that foolishness, you got to hold your head up. Stop letting folk diminish and devalue us. This is Coogee Chakalia, self-determination. We've been waiting for other folk to teach our children. How you going to let folk who can't stand you teach your children? Yeah, what do you expect when you do that? So we're here because we recognize that Jesse Jackson doesn't have to tell us we somebody. We are, Elaine, watch what you're doing. You got to tell them over there. The reason, those 2 rows, the reason they got those rows, because those folk make it where we can get it, where you can come in here free. That's what they doing. Those people. That's why. Leandre is okay, but those folk you sitting on the front 2 front row. Why don't I sit on there? You can sit on there right now. Anybody stopping you from doing nothing? There's a table out there where they take your money and you can come sit on the front row because you helping co-sponsor this. It's the co-sponsors who allowed, that's why they're sitting there, because they're co-sponsoring this. So you can just come on in. You ought to give them a hand. Yeah, they're the ones who helping make that happen. So we're here tonight. We're getting ready to hear from Dr. Umar. And Dr. Umar is in the house. Real quick, before we do that, we got Zawadi writers, and they're going to come. And as soon as they do their presentation, then we're going to present our speaker, because I can't wait. Y'all ain't hearing me. I can't wait. I can't wait for this brother to do what he's going to do. Before we do that, Brother Ricky Clark is going to come and do our oblation, offering of libation, rather, and then we're going to hear from Zawadi writers. Come on, put your black hand. Give them a black hand. those who left the choir stand, they can't come back up when our brother's speaking. I'm not going to have them. I'm not going to do that. So they're not coming back up. Elaine, they're not going, they're not going, just pay attention to me. They're not going to come back up. Alphonse, they're not going to come back up, okay? Once they left, come back up. I don't want anybody disturbing our brothers. Right? If y'all can be patient, surely they can. Okay, Al, y'all want to get our brother? When our brother comes, I want y'all to help me. Y'all already know who Dr. Umar is. Y'all already know that's why you're here. And when our brother comes, I want you to stand up on your feet when he gets in here and receive our brother, and let him know that we are grateful that he's here. Look at somebody, tell him, I don't know what you're here for, but I come to hear our brother. Come to hear our brother. I want Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar. Yeah, Umar Fatunde. And so we're going to hear from our brother in just a second. And then what we're going to do, I want to make sure, okay, we got it squared away. Okay. And by the way, again, if you want to jump on one of these first two rows, you're welcome. Ain't gonna hate on you at all. Yeah. Okay. Mike, where Mike? Play something. Play something to hit me on something. Come on, stand on your feet. Put your hand together. For Dr. Umar. Come on, put your hand together. Come on, put your hand together.
One. Fort Worth, Texas. Make some noise, black family, one time. Make some noise, make some noise. Make some noise. Indeed. Go ahead and take your seats, brothers and sisters. Put your hands together for Pastor Bell for making this happen, brothers and sisters. Yes. Once upon a time, there was an ancestor by the name of Booker T. Washington. He was born a slave in what would become West Virginia. He had a dream to get an education. So he walked by foot to Hampton, Virginia. When Booker T got to Hampton Institute, an HBCU founded by a Caucasian, he couldn't afford to pay the tuition. So he asked the schoolmasters in Virginia, would it be possible for me to work and get my education? They gave Booker T. Washington the opportunity to clean. And Booker T. Washington cleaned as best as he could. And they were so impressed with the job that he had done that they put him on a work-study program. And that's how Booker T. Washington completed his education at Hampton Institute. When he was done at Hampton, the principal received a phone call from the black community of Tuskegee, Alabama. They were looking for someone of their race who could come to Alabama and teach our people how to make a living after slavery. Booker T accepted the opportunity. He showed up in Tuskegee, Alabama, and when he got to Tuskegee, there was no physical school building. Booker T. Washington used an old barn, an old church, an old storefront to begin the Tuskegee Institute in normal school. When the first class of students showed up at Tuskegee, many of them left in disgust. They were disgusted because Booker T. Washington told them that you are going to build your school with your own hands. And so Booker T. Washington made those young black men and women roll up their sleeves, the ones who decided to stay. And with their own hands, they built the buildings of Tuskegee Institute. With their own hands, they made their own clothing and shoes. With their own hands, they planted their own fruits and their own vegetables. With their own hands, they even made the bricks that were used to build the buildings. And the students of Tuskegee Institute became so famous for making bricks that the local construction companies would come and buy bricks from Tuskegee students instead of white construction companies. And so Booker T stepped back and he said, I need a science teacher. He heard of a black man by the name of Dr. George Washington Carver, the first of his race to get a PhD in agricultural science. So he met with Dr. George Washington Carver. And these two men, ancestors born into slavery, agreed to work together. Now at the time, Dr. George Washington Carver was being recruited by the U.S. military. He was being recruited by white pharmaceutical companies. He was being recruited by white engineering labs because he was the greatest scientist of his age. And that black man turned down all of that money and went on down to join fellow freed slave Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee. And when Dr. George Washington Carver showed up at Tuskegee, he asked Booker T. Washington the same question that the students asked Booker T. Washington a few years prior. Dr. Washington, where's my science lab? Where's my lecture hall? Where's my staff apartment? Where's my botany clinic? And Booker T. Washington looked at Dr. George Washington Carver and he said, Dr. Carver, all we have is what you see. And that black man, Dr. George Washington Carver, who was castrated as a child by the white people who cared for him because they feared that he might want to have sex with their white daughter, so they removed his reproductive organ. But that didn't stop him. Dr. George Washington Carver went to the trash dump of Tuskegee Institute in normal school. And from the garbage of college students, he took aluminum, copper, paper, wood, tin, whatever he could find. And from the garbage of teenagers, he gave us more than 300 products from the peanut. From the garbage of teenagers, he gave us more than 500 products from the soybean. From the garbage of teenagers, he gave us hundreds of products from the sweet potato. Tonight, we celebrate Kwanzaa Day 2. Kuji Chagalia, self-determination. I give you Booker T. Washington, and I give you Dr. George Washington Carver, who didn't wait for white folks to do it. They didn't wait for Joe Biden. They didn't wait for the governor of Texas. They didn't wait for the mayor of Fort Worth. They didn't wait for the mayor of Dallas. They said, I'm going to do what I can for mines right here and right now. Brothers and sisters, what happened to our self-determination as a race? Every time I look up, radio, TV, social media, newspaper, I see black people begging white people to do things we can do ourselves. Self-determination. In Texas earlier this year, your state legislature passed a law making it illegal to teach black children how they got to America. Making it illegal to teach white children what your ancestors did to other people to get a head start. They said teaching slavery and racism impairs the self-esteem of white children. Well, if teaching white babies about racism and slavery impairs their self-esteem, imagine what you have done to the self-esteem of black children with all the lies and filth you have taught over the years. But guess what? If we really believe in self-determination, that Texas mandate means nothing to us. Because we have the ability to teach our children who they are ourselves. Why do we need white folks to do it? I don't want no white woman in Fort Worth giving my daughter Ida B. Wells. I don't want no white man in Dallas giving my son the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. I don't want no white woman giving my little daughter Fannie Lou Hamer. I don't want no cracker giving my son Malcolm X. It's my job. It's our job to teach our children who they are. We don't need white folks to do that. I don't see Jews begging Germans to teach their children who they are. Don't get me wrong, black people. Some things we got to fight the system for. We got to fight the system against mass incarceration. We got to fight the system for better justice. But we got to sit down and decide as a community, what do we need to fight white folks for and what do we need to do ourselves? I remember I was in Philadelphia at an ASCAC conference. At the NCOBRA conference, National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America. And I disagreed with the effort to force the school district of Philadelphia to teach black history. And all my elders said, Dr. Umar, you don't want black children to know who they are? Yes, but I don't want white folks telling them who they are. You mean to tell me we got all these black people with PhDs in black studies and PhDs in Pan-African studies and PhDs in Africana studies, and I got to go to a white woman to teach my daughter who she is? That's my job. Here we are, $2 trillion people, brothers and sisters. The richest group of Africans on the earth. And we ain't got a black Wall Street nowhere. Self-determination. Every May 31st, we celebrate Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we should. But we have gotten too comfortable with celebrating achievements instead of making achievements. Tulsa, Oklahoma was more than 100 years ago. Why we ain't had another one yet? You mean to tell me, black sisters who I love, but you can spend $30 billion a year on hair and beauty products? Black men, you spend $2 billion a year on Air Jordans alone, $4 billion on liquor and alcohol, countless billions on marijuana. But we ain't got no hospitals we can call our own. When COVID swept through Texas, just like it swept through Pennsylvania, where I live, our elders, our elderly were at the mercy of racist white physicians. They killed our grandparents on purpose. And Washington, D.C. paid them for every dead body that they had. And when your mother and father got sick, you didn't want to go to the white hospital, but you didn't have a choice. Because there's something slavery did to us that we haven't gotten over yet. Slavery made black people in America comfortable having no control over your destiny. You're the only people in America who are comfortable having no control over your destiny. The minute a Mexican shows up in Fort Worth, he's looking for a piece of the city to call his own. The minute an Asian shows up in Arlington, he's looking for a piece of the city to call his own. The minute an Arab shows up in Dallas, he's looking for a piece of the city to call his own. We've been here longer than all of them. And ain't got a piece of Fort Worth to call our own yet. And we can't blame racism for that exclusively. We got to look in the mirror. Because there's a greater white man you got to fight than the one on these streets. There's a greater white man you got to fight than the one in White House, D.C. And that greater white man you got to fight, that greater white woman you got to fight is the one living inside of you. What good is standing up against oppression in the street when you living with an oppressor in your soul? Let's be honest, black people. Let's be brutally honest with ourselves right here tonight. Most of us don't have a problem with white people being in charge. You have a problem with the condition they gave you to live under. You ain't got a problem with white supremacy. You just want white supremacy to give you a better place to live in. See, when Breonna was assassinated, Trayvon and Philando and Alton Sterling and Eric Garner, Little Tamir and Sandra Bland, and who's the sister right here in Fort Worth? Tatiana. When they were murdered and we protested and we marched, we wasn't marching for justice or freedom. We was marching for white compassion and acceptance. You don't want justice and freedom. You want white people to like your ass. Are we going to be honest? You don't care about what the ancestors fought for. You just want white people to like your black ass. And white people know it. We ain't had a major movement for change since Dr. King. 55 years. And then you want to blame Dr. King for integration. Negroes go around saying, if Dr. King didn't integrate, I beg your pardon, Dr. King was dead before integration happened. Nobody made you give up black hospitals and go to white ones. Nobody made you move out the black community into a white suburb. Nobody made you put your child in a white private school. Nobody made you take your money out of black bank and stick it in a white one. You did that all by yourself. Dr. King had nothing to do with it. See, Dr. King wasn't fighting for amalgamation or integration. He was only fighting to give you access to opportunities and resources. Show me the Dr. King speech where he said, give up all your black institutions and go dissolve yourself amongst a sea of hating white folks. Show me where Dr. King said, give up your banks, give up your hospitals, give up your supermarkets, give up your neighborhoods. Dr. King never uttered the words. But what Dr. King didn't know about you Negroes was deep down inside, although you was putting a fist up for black power, you really just wanted to participate in the white reality. Every time I go around the country, I see black men dating white girls. Snow bunny loving ass coons. And I don't care if it's a red bunny, yellow bunny, brown bunny. If she ain't a black woman, your ass is a sellout. I want to say it in the church. And then they all over the internet coming at my neck. That white woman wouldn't have looked at you twice. Charles Barkley, Snow Bunny, wouldn't have looked at him twice. Joel Embiid, white wife, wouldn't have looked at him twice. Tiger Woods' ex-wife wouldn't have looked at him twice. Serena Williams' white husband wouldn't have looked at her twice. And I'm so jealous. How you going to give all that 5'5", thicker than thighs to a Caucasian devil? You got to have a license to drive that. And then black men got mad at me because I said Deion Sanders should have never left Jackson State. I ain't got nothing against Deion. He's one of my favorite athletes. But as an activist, he sucks. You at an all-black college in an all-black city. You could have changed forever the financial situation of the HBCU. You could have brought our best black high school talent back to the black schools. You could have flipped the whole NCAA on its head. But you sold us out for 5 pieces of silver. Off in Boulder, Colorado, with a population of less than 1% black people. You bringing millions of dollars to a college with 2% black people. So no matter what Deion gets paid, the University of Colorado then already made more of him than he'll ever make from them. What's wrong with the black man in America when all we aspire to be is the white man's top asset? And some of you black men in here, all you do with your sons is get them ready to play football. Goofy ass Negroes. That's all your son want to do is be a basketball player. That's it. No knowledge of self, no nothing. Football, basketball. Last time I checked, we were valued in America based on our physical assets. Did they not put us on an auction block right here in Texas for our physical assets? And the longer you could work, the stronger you could lift, the more value you were to the slave master. Has it changed at all? Every spring, the football players go to the NFL Combine where they showcase their God-given ancestral talents. They run up and down the field to show the slave masters what I can do for you if you put me on your plantation. The football field ain't nothing but a plantation. And the only person benefiting from the black man going professional is the white female. Y'all saw what they did to Jonathan Majors. He got into a tugging match with this ugly white female. No shape at all. Not a curve in the family. And they admitted that she attacked him. But he got charged because the way he responded to the white woman's assault was not appropriate. He got his career destroyed because he didn't respond to an attack from a white woman appropriately. Even though there's a video of him running down the street. Run, nigga, run! And do you know why she took him to court? Because what a lot of black men don't understand about these racist white females y'all date, because they're just as racist as the white male. The only difference is the white female employs a psychological technique. See, the white woman's job in the black community is to get the black man to drop all of his psychological defenses against racism. Her job is to disarm your dumb ass. See, if she didn't psychologically disarm Jonathan Majors, he would have never made the mistake. See how this goes? The white woman convinces the black man, I'm not like all the others. And the minute you step out of line, she yanked your slave chain. See, that white woman wanted to show Jonathan Majors, you might be the biggest up-and-coming black actor, but I'm a white woman in America. I can destroy you overnight. And this is why I tell you, Negroes, you might be laying on top of her, but she's still in control of you. Black fathers, stop trying to relive your failed athletic dreams through your son. Where them water at, Bobby? I understand you wanted to go pro. I understand you was the next Dion. I understand. But your day has passed. And it is wrong for you to put your bruised ego expectations on your 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old son and try to make him be what you couldn't become. Leave that boy to his own life. Raising slaves, where the damn revolutionaries at? My black parents, I'm very upset at y'all because y'all just went Christmas shopping. And I'm willing to bet that almost none of you wrapped up any books and put them under that tree. I'm willing to bet almost none of you wrapped up a set of encyclopedia and put it under that tree. I'm willing to bet almost none of you wrapped up a dictionary and put it under that tree. I'm willing to bet you didn't wrap up a thesaurus and put it under that tree. And I'm trying to understand, as a psychologist, why black mothers and black fathers and black grandparents are buying video games, tablets, and phones for children who can hardly read. You mean to tell me Raekwon is in the 5th grade? Yeah, Raekwon. Because y'all name your children after rappers and athletes. Nigga shit! Excuse me. And so Raekwon is in the 5th grade, reading on the 2nd. He's 3 grades behind his class standing. And you didn't get him a tutor for Christmas. You didn't get him no reading workbooks for Christmas. You didn't get Shaquita no math workbooks, no dictionary, no encyclopedia. You bought video games and clothing. Do you know what you just did? You invested in Raekwon's future incarceration. See, let me explain something to you. The reason the Asian kids are outperforming the other children is the average Asian child spends 12 to 15 hours a week studying outside of school. The average white child spends about 5 to 8 hours studying outside of school. And the average black child in the inner city spends 45 minutes a week studying outside of school. And the first thing you want to do is send them to me for a learning disability evaluation. Dr. Umar, he needs an IEP. Sure, he don't need an IEP. He already got one. You know what IEP stand for? Ignorant, emotional ass parents. That's what an IEP is. And then when you bring them to my office as the school psychologist in your child's school, I tell you, nothing wrong with Raekwon. He just needs to practice more, study more. You say you don't know what you're talking about. Because Raekwon's grandfather wasn't special ed. His father wasn't special ed. His big brother wasn't special ed. He needs special ed. And then I got to remind your goofy self that special education is not genetically inherited. Special ed don't run in your family. You know why his grandfather wasn't special ed, and his father wasn't special ed, and his mama wasn't special ed, and he might end up in special ed? Not because special ed runs in the family. Poor parenting runs in the family. No homework runs in the family. Not showing up to school runs in the family. And then when I go to the prison, I always ask the inmates, raise your hand if you was in special ed. In every prison I've been to across the country, 90% of the inmates, male or female, were in special education. And some of you can't wait till January the 2nd because you want to go sign permission to evaluate forms so these white racist psychologists can label your child with a learning disability they do not have because you're too damn lazy to raise your kids. Or you come and you say, Dr. Umar, he can't sit still. He needs some medication. He got ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Dr. Umar, something's wrong. He too hyper. So you go get him diagnosed at the We Hate Black Children Mental Health Center in Fort Worth. Nothing but crackers. And then after you get him diagnosed with ADHD or conduct disorder or oppositional defiant disorder or intermittent explosive disorder or disruptive behavior disorder, you take him back to the school with the evaluation. And the school says, thank you for the paperwork. We now need a prescription. And then you say, I'm not putting my son on no medication because Dr. Umar was here for Kwanzaa. And Dr. Umar said that Ritalin y'all want to give my son is only 1 molecule away from crack. Dr. Umar said that Adderall y'all want to give my son, that Concerta y'all want to give my son is only 1 molecule away from crack cocaine. I'm not giving my son no crack. For what? So he can sit still and learn about Helen Keller, Anne Frank, and Christopher Columbus? He don't need no damn drugs to learn about them crackers! And then the school say, we're sorry, but if you're not going to get him medicated, we're going to have to report you to We Hate Black People Social Services of Fort Worth, Texas. And now the social worker is knocking on your door. Some of y'all been through this already. We got an anonymous report from Mrs. Salzberger, Mrs. Luciano, Mrs. Warkenberger, that your son is too hyper, needs meds, has a diagnosis, and you won't give him the dope. So you know what they're going to do? If you don't give him the dope, or if you interrupt the medication one more time, they coming into your house. And they not just going to take Raekwon. They going to take Method Man, Old Dirty Bastard, RZA, Jizza, Ghostface Killer, Master Killer. All your children are going to be in foster care. And now you lost your babies. Because Dr. Umar told you on Kwanzaa night, don't get them tested for ADHD because it's a setup to force the dope. And if you don't give your child the dope, they're going to take your kids and give them to same-sex white couples in the suburbs to raise. Oh, you didn't know? Same-sex white couples have a monopoly on black foster kids. And now Raekwon and Minaj and being freaked out in the suburbs by Caucasians because you went and got an evaluation Dr. Umar told you to stay away from. Listen, if you really believe your son or daughter got ADHD, if you really believe your son or daughter got conduct disorder, if you really believe your child has a reading disability or math disability, I got one question. Show me where in the brain I can see it with my eye. There's no images. There's no photographs. There's no ultrasound of a learning disability. There's no CAT scan of an ADHD. There's no urine sample of a conduct disorder. They running a damn scam on you, Black Texas. And they making $30 billion a year of black mothers and fathers who don't want to teach their children discipline. Because the most important job you have after loving your children, and I'm going to come back to that love in a minute, because we lacking in that. But the second most important responsibility you have after you love your children is teach them how to act. Discipline. And what is Dr. Umar Ifa Tunde's definition of discipline? It is the ability to do what you don't want to do when it has to be done, whether you like it or not. Does your 12-year-old have discipline? Does your 16-year-old have discipline? Does your 8-year-old have some discipline? Because if he doesn't, those white teachers in Fort Worth, those white teachers in Dallas, those white teachers in Houston and Austin and Galveston, you know what they're going to do? They're not going to be bothered with Raekwon. First time he can't spell his name, he's going to the school psychologist. First time he can't sit still, you're being told, don't bring him back without medication. Yes, and the whole thing ain't nothing but a scam. Making money off single mother black boys whose father wasn't there to teach them how to act around white folks. And when did we get ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder? 1980, American Psychiatric Association. Is it a coincidence we got ADD the same year the CIA dropped off crack cocaine? That's no coincidence. You mean to tell me they started doping up the father and doping up the son the same year? And then in 1987, they added an H to the diagnosis. There was no hyperactivity until 87. Why did they add the word hyperactivity to attention deficit disorder? You know why? There's no drug that can make your child pay attention. So the drug companies wasn't making no money off ADD because no drug can make you sit there and listen to a whole bunch of lies about Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. So they put an H in it. And do you know right now, today, with the DSM-5, if you take your son to get diagnosed for ADHD, he will be diagnosed with ADHD even if he's not hyper. I'm going to say it again. The code is written. The diagnostic criteria is written. Even if you're not hyper, you're still considered hyper anyway. Because it's about drug money. There ain't no mental health in the black community. The only thing we got in the black community is economic exploitation in the name of mental health. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Your son been getting wraparound services since he was 5. Little John is 13 and crazier now than he was when the white folks first started making money. Because I don't know if y'all know, the crazier your child, the more money they get. Yes! John need a one-to-one aid, that's some money. John need intensive case management, that's some more money. John need a behavioral specialist, that's some more money. John needs some family therapy, that's some money. John need partial hospitalization, that's some more money. John need long-term psychiatric care, that's some more money. Why you think when you see white people are fostering our children, the white people always have the craziest black children? Have you noticed that? You say, why do white folks always end up with the most psychologically disturbed black kids? Because they want to get the maximum reimbursement from the state. This is a damn hustle. And then when you go to the system and say, I want my grandson to come live with me, father locked up, mother in rehab, I want my grandson to come live with me, and they tell you, you don't have enough square footage. They tell you your husband, who's now 65, got locked up in 1925 for a stick of weed. So you can't, they come up with every excuse not to give black children to their black families. And it ain't got to be that way. We can change all these rules, but you got to get organized. We have not organized or mobilized in a meaningful way since MLK. You got lazy. Ever since Dr. King died, they ain't hit you with nothing but a whole bunch of distractions. First they came out with the Betamax, then they came out with the VCR, then they came out with the Walkman, then they came out with the iPad. The problem with you Negroes is all you want to do is party. All you see in the black community is party flyers. We're going to party ourselves into a damn genocide if we don't cut it out. Your child don't need no special education. They need more practice and more attention from you. And a lot of your children are going to school acting a fool, not because they can't control their behavior. You know why your child going to school acting a fool? It's because the only time you pay them any attention is when white folks give you a phone call. Oh yeah, they attention deficit, all right, but the deficit is from their parents. Oh yeah. That's why I call ADHD what it really is. Ain't no daddy at home disorder, ADHD. If you grew up in the 70s and the 80s like me, we never had no ADHD in the family. Because our father wouldn't have it, our uncles wouldn't have it. If daddy and uncle wasn't around, the pastor next door wouldn't have it. There was no such thing as ADHD until mass incarceration took off. So they said, we making money off the daddy. Let's make some money off his son. You know why we got an opioid crisis in America? See, the media isn't connecting the dots for you. The opioid addicts, those 21 to 30-year-olds, that's the first, second generation of the ADHD babies. Y'all hearing what I'm telling you? The opioid addicts are the first and second generation of the ADHD public school addicts. They got so used to getting high off Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta that they had to go to the opioids. But they're not going to say that because then we have a class action lawsuit. So they're not going to connect the dots that the opioid users are the first and second generation of black children you hooked on Ritalin in first grade. Number one, autism. If you think your child is autistic, don't rush in to get him evaluated because I'm coming across black boys and girls who are misdiagnosed as autistic. You know what they really had? A developmental delay, a hearing impairment, a speech and language impairment, selective mutism, social anxiety. Why are you getting black kids tested at 3 years old for anything except speech? 3 years old, ADHD. 3 years old, autism. 3 years old, intellectual disability. Well, guess what? I've been evaluating children for 25 years. And guess what? You cannot prove any disability in a child that young except deafness, blindness, and speech. So then you're going to say, Dr. Umar, why my daughter's school want her tested in preschool? They said she's autistic and they want to test it at 3. Why my son preschool? He's 4. They want him tested at 4. You know why? Because special education in America begins at age 3. So if they can force you, if you're going to be a big dummy and let the white folks force you to test your preschooler for special ed, they can start collecting money for your child. This is about money. A child with an IEP is worth twice as much money as a child without one. So let me give you an example. Let's say Dr. Umar is the principal of We Hate Black Boys Public Charter School in Fort Worth. And I got a whole bunch of white teachers in here trying to get every black boy put out the class with an IEP. Because y'all do know, special ed for black boys is not about disabilities, it's about discipline. Your son probably the smartest kid in the class. But because he won't sit still, which is not acceptable for a privileged white female, she going to convince his black mother that he got a learning problem, and his black mother, who is hypnotized by white authority. Let's be honest, I work in schools. When y'all walk into the school, you lose all your gangster swag. You lose all your courage. And you are under a hypnosis of white females. And whatever they tell y'all to do, y'all do it, even to the detriment of your child. And so the teacher brainwashed you into thinking Shaquita is autistic at 3. She could be, but we can't prove it yet. So Dr. Umar, what's wrong with getting my 3-year-old son-daughter diagnosed with autism so she can get the early intervention special ed IEP services from the Fort Worth School District? You know what's wrong with it? If they put your 3-year-old daughter in a classroom with children who are really autistic, and she is not, after 6 months, she will be imitating the autistic children, and that's exactly why y'all need to stop getting them tested too soon. Listen, if one black child in Fort Worth, Texas, is worth twice the amount of money as a regular child, Let's say hypothetically, Fort Worth schools spend $8,000 per pupil per year. It could be more, hypothetically. When Dr. Umar, the certified school psychologist, evaluates your child and classifies them as deaf, hearing impaired, blind, speech and language, autism, intellectual disability, emotional disturbance, other health impaired for ADHD, once I diagnose that child, he ain't worth 8,000 no more. He worth 16. That's for one child. So if your son is worth an extra $8,000 and they get that $8,000 every year, he's only in the second grade. He got 10 more years of school, right? What's 10 years times 8,000? 80,000 for one black boy. So if one black boy is worth an extra $80,000 to Fort Worth schools, how much is 800 boys worth? How many white people living in the suburbs of Fort Worth living comfortably because you don't want to make your son read at night? I don't give a damn about no football practice, and I don't give a damn about no basketball practice, and I don't give a damn about any black man who got a problem with me saying that. What good is sports when your son can't even read? Getting him ready for prison. I could give a damn about a football and a basketball, you overgrown slaves. A bunch of damn slaves. All we want our sons to be is football and basketball players. Goofy ass black men. That's all we want. Sports. The worst day in black America during the fall and winter is NFL Sunday. NFL Sunday, 2/3 of all the black men in America sit their politically lazy asses in front of a television from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. You mean to tell me we can't get black men to work with our sons? We can't get black men to build schools? We can't get black men to build supermarkets? We can't get black men to create jobs for our children? But 3/4 of the black men in America pull up to a television and don't move for 12 hours every Sunday. In fact, at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, I don't even know if we're going to have football and basketball for the first couple years. Because I don't want to feed into the mindset that this is all our children can be. Do you know why they desegregated the public schools in 1954? Why did the Supreme Court outlaw race-based segregation in public school? Brown versus Board of Education, May 17, 1954. You know why they integrated the public schools? It wasn't to give black children a better education. That had nothing to do with it. You know why they integrated the public schools? Because they were afraid of how excellent black children were learning and achieving in the segregated school. Do you realize we invented the gas mask before we sat next to white people? Do you realize we invented the stoplight before we sat next to white people? We invented the refrigerated truck before we sat next to white people. We invented the golf tee, the baby carriage, the radio before we sat next to white people. They didn't integrate the damn schools in Texas so black children could get a better education. They integrated the schools to slow down black excellence. Do you know special ed would have never been created if we didn't force our kids on white people? There would be no ADHD if we didn't force our kids on white people. There would be no disciplined schools if we didn't force our kids on white people. And my gripe with you tonight, Black Texas, is you just got finished spending $2, $3, $4 billion statewide on Christmas gifts. And we don't even have a decent school in Fort Worth for our damn children. Help me understand that. Because guess what? Mexican Americans don't have the take-home pay you got. Asians don't have the take-home pay you got. Arabs don't have the take-home pay you got. But soon when they showed up to Texas, one of the first things they did was build a school for their children. Why you ain't got one for the black babies in Fort Worth? There's more than enough money in this room alone to build an independent school for black boys and girls. You know why you ain't got one? Because white folks do not require you to have it. You only do what your slave master make you do. Did you know that black babies develop faster than all the others? Oh yeah, go do your research. Don't believe nothing I say tonight. Go do your research. Black babies outperform the Asians, the Arabs, the Anglo-Saxons, the Jews. Black children from birth to age 5 outperform all other children on tests of intelligence. But then something weird happens once they go to kindergarten. Once the black child enters kindergarten, his IQ score will drop every year he goes up in grade. Did y'all hear what I just said? How can there be an inverse relationship between intelligence and years of schooling? Do you know what that means? The longer our children stay in public school, the dumber they become. And let me say this, Fort Worth. We have to organize and fight for the industrial building trades to be put back in the high school. Everybody don't need to go to college. Half of them don't want to go to college. A lot of them ain't got the discipline to finish college. You know what we paying for repairs at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy? We paid about $100,000 on HVAC. About $80,000 on the plumbing. You know how long it took them to fix it? A week. So if your son graduated from one of these industrial trade schools in Texas as a plumber, a carpenter, an HVAC tech, electrician, auto mechanic, welder, roofer, computer networker, he could make in a week half the salary of an attorney for a year. So why y'all not sending y'all children to trade schools where they can learn the skills that pay the bills? Because you want to keep up with white folks. And white folks say part of the American dream is going into debt by getting a degree at some white college that isn't useful anywhere in America. Raise your hand if you owe student loan debt. Look at this room. Half the room owes student loan debt, myself included. And guess what? Most of you don't even work in the field you got your degree in. So what good was your collegiate education? It was worthless. So when you drive in downtown Dallas and you look at all the new buildings they building, I see Mexican labor, Jewish labor, Arab labor, Asian labor, no black folks. They sent you to college to go into debt to the banks. And everybody else took over the building trades. And now we hungry with college degrees and no damn work. If it was up to me, every black child in America, male or female, will learn a skill that pay the bills before you go to college. Listen, black mothers and fathers. And Pastor, I want to come back and do a seminar just for the high school students. I want all your sons and daughters in here on one condition. Your daughters must be weave free when they show up. Ladies, I love all black women, whether you're natural or artificial hair. I love you. But I need y'all to understand something. Every time you insult your female ancestors by putting fake white hair or dead Indian hair on your crown, you are role modeling self-hatred to the next generation of black women. Until black women go natural and love it, black girls will always feel psychologically inferior. See, long hair is a European beauty trait. In African culture, long hair was never considered an aspect of beauty, not to the extent it is with Caucasian women.
That's right. That's right.
So you have bought into white women's concepts of beauty, not African.
That's right. That's right.
Short hair can be extremely attractive on a black woman. But the problem is, black women are suffering from 4, 5, 6 generations of intergenerational nappy hair trauma. Your great-grandmama had nappy hair trauma. Your grandmama had nappy hair trauma. Your mom had nappy hair trauma. Now you got nappy hair trauma. You traumatized by nappy hair because you've been told something wrong with it. Even though it's the thin, frizzly hair that gets all the lice, and the nappy hair is the least likely to attract lice, you still want the lice hair. Even though the very countries in Asia that sell you the weave and perm have made it illegal for Asian women to wear the weaves they sell you and use the perms they sell you. It's illegal for Asian women to use it. But they'll sell it to you and you're killing yourself with it. Now we got black women with epidemics of fibroid tumors from the weaves and the perms. Brain cancer from the weaves and the perms, killing yourself to look like a Caucasian. And black men, we cannot laugh because it's ultimately our fault. Black women are imitating white women because black men have made it clear. If you do not resemble the almighty snow bunny, we want nothing to do with you. Every black man in here can make your woman go natural by New Year's Day. She be natural in 4 days. All you got to do is go home and say, baby, cut it off or I'm leaving. What do you think she want? A weave or a man? Make up your mind. And black woman, if you got scalp damage, because I used to cut hair, so I know about scalp damage. There's a tendency of a sister when you get a little ringworm to cover it up. You get a little bald spot from them pulling on your hair roots too long, the roots then died. You got a bald spot. You know the bald spot needs air and oxygen, right, in order to regenerate, but y'all don't want nobody to see you got a bald spot or receding hairline or ringworm hill. So you put hair on top of the bald spot and the ringworm, which only makes it worse. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So black man, if your woman got scalp trauma, make her go bald and grow it all over. Black women, the best thing you can do if you got hair issues, cut it all off and your hair will come back 50 times stronger and 50 times healthier. And it's the winter time. This is the perfect time to do it. You got January, February, and March. If you cut it off tonight, by March, you have a nice baby afro. And I take a nice baby afro anytime over some old nasty weave. And black man, you got to love on your woman's head for that hair to grow back. You got to massage her scalp. Get you some hot shea butter. Get you some almond butter. Get you some cocoa butter and rub her damn head. Kiss it. Please grow back, grow back, grow back. And black women, stop with the body surgeries. I was in the Dominican Republic for a layover this spring coming back from Guadeloupe where I had to speak. And I'm in the Dominican Republic airport, and they're one of the leading BBL nations. And every black woman walked by had a Serena Williams special. I said, there's no way a whole nation. This can't be natural, because if it is, I'm moving to the Dominican Republic. And now you got black women who are being killed in the act of getting surgery. But I got a bigger question for y'all. Let's say you get a BBL, breast implant, you 25, you 35. What happens when you 75 and 85? What you gonna do when all them sacks they put in your behind and breasts start busting and popping and getting cancerous and toxic, and now you 70 and 80 and you got to walk around holding up your backside and your breasts? Are y'all thinking long term, sisters? Or you only thinking for the moment? Or y'all get them windshield wiper eyelashes? I mean, if you that in love, black woman, if you that in love with Herman Munster, I could take you to Kitty City and get you a Herman Munster dial, because you looking like Herman Munster from the Addams Family with them damn windshield wiper eyebrows on. It do not make you look better, sister. Oh, y'all do too much. There's nothing more attractive than an all-natural sister. No makeup, no fake hair, no weave, no perm. Nothing more attractive than a sister. Because the most important thing you put on when you come outside ain't your weave, your perm, your eyelashes, your BBLs. It ain't your high heels, your pocketbook, your skirt, your shorts, or your dress. The most attractive thing a woman walks outside with in the morning is her self-confidence. You spent $500,000 on how you look on the outside, and you didn't spend a quarter for how you feel in the inside. And black men, we need to learn how to keep our hands off our women. We got a serious black domestic abuse problem in the community. Black men are taking all the pain of racism and oppression home, and you're beating the only woman who has unequivocal respect for you, and that's your queen. Yeah. And your son is watching you beat his mother, so now you're training him how to be a domestic abuser himself. And the black woman who's torn between her safety and her children's father. Keep the pain to herself. She don't call the police because she know that's a felony and you already got 2 strikes. So now the black woman is starting to smoke a little bit, drink a little bit, pop some Xannies and opioids a little bit, and now we have a black female suicide rate that is one of the fastest growing in America. Yeah. Black woman, let me say something to you. You are not weak because you need help. And I'm saying this because in our religious tradition, Not every church, not pastor, but in some churches, women are made to feel that if you can't deal with your emotional issue through scripture, something's wrong with you. And I want you to know that as powerful as the Bible is, as powerful as the Quran, the Torah, any book, there comes a place and a time where you need a trained expert to help you get through your demons. And I don't want no black woman in here feeling like you weak because you crying out for help. Black women, I want y'all to listen to me well. You're the only women in America who are not allowed to be feminine. The black woman is expected to be masculine 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If an Asian woman says, I want a man, I'm tired of being alone, she's not weak, she's just being feminine. If an Arab woman says, I need a man to help me raise these boys, I can't do it on my own, she's not masculine. That's what's called being a woman. But let a black woman say, I'm tired of being alone. Let a black woman say, I need help raising my children. Let a black woman say, I need a break from my responsibilities. Other black women will call her weak. And so I challenge all my sisters in here tonight. Stop criticizing your sister and lift her up. Black women need each other, brothers and sisters. Y'all need each other. And black man, you with your alcoholism, the black man's alcoholism is slowly destroying the black community. And you don't want to get no help either because your sense of masculinity is so frail that you don't want to tell nobody about that sex abuse you suffered when you was 5. You don't want to process the time your uncle touched you inappropriately when you was 9. So you living with the pain of all this abuse you've been with. You living with the pain of your father leaving you to go live a life with another woman, or your mother abandoning you for her boyfriend, and you keeping it all bottled up, and you think it's going to stay bottled up forever. If you got issues with your mother, black man, that you didn't work through, sooner or later your wife will objectify as the mother you hate, and you will begin to abuse her. We need mental health in the black community, but not white mental health. Because all white people want to do is diagnose you and give you some damn pills. And I want you to know right now, pills are a trap. Stay away from them. I want to say a few more things, and then I'm going to wrap up. And if there's time for Q&A, I'll take it. If there's not time for Q&A, if anyone wants to take a photo with me, you can. I do have some books for sale in the lobby, Black Parent Advocate. I suggest you get a copy if you're raising children in public school. Everything you need to know to protect your children is in that 500-page book. First thing I want to say, we have a sex trafficking problem in black America. Black girls and black women are being sold all over this country, stolen and sold. And guess what? The number one commodity on the international sex trafficking circuit is black girls from the inner city, 12 to 17 years old. Our daughters are the number one commodity. If you don't know where your daughter is, you're not on your job. If you haven't met your daughter's boyfriend, you're not on your job. If you haven't met your daughter's friends, you're not on your job. How you know your daughter's best friend's father isn't a sex trafficker? How do you know your daughter's boyfriend isn't simply recruiting your daughter for a sex trafficker? Did you know the average age of a male sex trafficker is 27 years old? Most of us think sex traffickers are old white men or old black men. No! They are the young men that your daughters find attractive. And they play in their head and make them fall in love and give them some weed and some pills. And the next thing you know, they waking up somewhere where they never been and they never go back home. You better have a tracker on your child's cell phone. Put a brace around their ankle. You better know where they work, where they hang out. Any time of the day, you should be able to drive somewhere and see your little girl. Brothers and sisters, election year is coming up in November. And the Democratic Party is expecting you to just go vote without no expectations. And I'm here to tell you that I think the best thing black people can do for the November presidential election is to divest of the Democratic Party, divest of the Republican Party, and start a black political union. Chain our votes together and tell President Trump and President Biden before we vote for either one of you devils, you got to come to Fort Worth and have a conversation with us. We don't vote off of hope anymore. We don't vote off of empty promises anymore. Barack Obama can't come to Fort Worth and guarantee you my vote. Kamala Harris can't come to Texas and guarantee you my vote. You got to come sit with us, and we're going to give you a list of things we need. Now, I know you can't do them all, but I want you to choose 3 things on this list of 10 that you better promise to deliver your first 4 years in office, not the second, because you ain't guaranteed to have a second. Whether you're going to fix the schools, whether you're going to deal with the prisons, whether you're going to deal with gentrification, police genocide, unemployment, you're going to reparations, you're going to deal with this. And if you don't, you automatically know that the same 50 million black votes that put you in office will take you out the very next cycle. We got to vote as a race, as a people, as a community. You ain't no damn Democrat. But the problem is they got these Negro gatekeepers in Texas. Some of them probably in this room tonight. And see, the job of the Negro gatekeeper is to maintain the status quo. They get paid by keeping Negroes dumb, deaf, and blind. Oh, yeah. I'm not from Fort Worth, but I know you got a black bourgeoisie. Because you can't control black people without a black bourgeoisie. They came from the ghetto, but they not from there no more. Some of your elected officials, some of your pastors, some of your city employees, some of your university scholars, they belong to the black bourgeoisie. And whenever you go to them, asking them to make a change, they tell you we must be patient and give the democratic process some time to avail itself. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They tell you Rome wasn't built in a day. And then you got to tell them, I can't tell. Because I see y'all bringing migrants in every day and giving them all kind of resources. And we ain't got nothing against the migrants, but we against the racism that prioritizes any other group above the people who built this damn country brick by hypocritical brick. Joe Biden, you mean to tell me that black people carried you into office? And the first thing you do on your first day of office is sign a transgender bill? That's the first, and I'm not against you if you suffer sexual confusion. That's between you and the ancestors. I don't hate nobody. I became a psychologist to heal people. I don't hate. But how you going to skip past black people and take care of the transgenders on the first day of office? And then in Atlanta, there was a massacre where a group of Asian women were murdered in the parlors. And that was wrong. But the president reacted immediately with an anti-Asian hate executive order. And then you went to Ukraine and airlifted Caucasians to America, gave them food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and Social Security checks. And then you airlifted the Afghani people to America. And you did the same. And now you bringing migrants from South America into New York, Chicago, Texas, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and taking from us, tax-paying black people. You taking from tax-paying blacks and giving it to non-blacks who can't even stand our guts. And then the only thing you give black people is a Juneteenth federal holiday. Brothers and sisters, and I need y'all to understand this because this is Texas where Juneteenth was born. I need you to know Joe Biden did not make Juneteenth a federal holiday out of respect. He made Juneteenth a federal holiday because it was the last grassroots, independent black celebration we had in this country, and he intends to kill it. See, they made Dr. King's birthday into a national holiday and turned it into a day of free cleaning up. Barack Obama took Black Music Month and turned it into LGBT Month. Have you been paying attention to Black History Month? There's almost no attention paid to February anymore. The point that I'm making, if we love it, we should keep it sacred. And in order to keep it sacred, we do not let the government co-opt it. We must take Juneteenth back from the White House. Because I don't know if you notice, Juneteenth has only been federal for 2 years. We've only had 2 Juneteenths that have been federal. And guess what? I can't find a grassroots Juneteenth anywhere in the United States. Everywhere I go, the white folks is paying for the Juneteenth. The mayor is paying for the Juneteenth. The governor is paying for the Juneteenth. And as a result of the white subsidy, Juneteenth don't even focus on Juneteenth. They talking about LGBT, transgender, immigrants. I thought this was a day for African people who were liberated from enslavement. How did you take this holy day for us and turn it into a hustle for the rest? Stop letting the government co-opt your holy days. The sister mentioned reparations. I'm going to make this my last point. I support reparations. Pan-Africanism gave birth to reparations. But I got some very serious concerns about the narrative we are pushing when it comes to reparations. Number one, Texas. I don't want a cash payout for reparations. And the reason I don't want a cash payout for reparations is the white man's dollar has no mineral value. So if the dollar is a worthless piece of paper, why in the hell would you let him pay you in paper monopoly money that has no backing? Do you know if we let the white folks pay us in reparations, they can cut the value of the payout in half through inflation in 24 hours. Why you want to reduce this to money? Because Negroes are thirsty. I don't want no damn money. If we put forward the appropriate reparations bill, whatever we get will allow us to make all the money we want. What do I want? Number one, and these are in no order, Dr. Umar wants all black music returned to the black community. Michael Jackson, Sam Cooke, Temptations, Prince, Donna Hathaway, all black music comes to us. Nobody can sell it. Nobody can produce it. Nobody can perform it. Nobody can distribute it. Why? Because black music is one of America's top exports. If we simply controlled our own music, we could build a black Wall Street in every city in America. I want the music back. You know what else I want? From 1865 to 1965, black people were robbed of thousands of acres of land. I want us to put together a land study commission. And let's research all the millions of acres that was robbed from us illegally, that was covered up because we lost the knowledge of our ancestors' history. Give me my damn land back. Number three, black people invented half the things America uses. Why are those lights on? A black man named Lewis Latimer wrote the textbook that showed America how to light up a whole city at night. China couldn't do it. So China sent for Lewis Latimer to come show them. Yeah. Europe couldn't do it. Europe sent for Lewis Latimer to go show them. Canada couldn't do it. Canada sent for Lewis Latimer to go show them. You wouldn't have that if it wasn't for us. There would be no refrigerated truck if it wasn't for us. There would be no helicopter if it wasn't for us. Would be no internet if it wasn't for us. So I propose all black inventions revert to black people permanently with a patent that can never expire. And anybody who wants to use anything our ancestors invented, they have to pay a licensing fee for that. I'm going to give you one more thing that I want. 60% of all American Africans are in 10 states. All 10 of those states are seaboarding states, Gulf boarding states, coast boarding states. Texas is one of them. California, Virginia, North Carolina, Florida. There's 10 states where 60% of us live. I recommend that the major seagoing port in those 10 states is permanently owned by black people. We get paid anytime something come in. We get paid anytime something go out. But most importantly, if we do have to go to war and we find ourselves on the losing side of that war, we can have some ships ready to take our asses to the Caribbean or back home to Africa. Brothers and sisters, listen. I don't teach hate, and I don't want you to hate white people. I don't want you to hate nobody, but I want you to understand them. And in order to understand Caucasian psychology, the first thing you got to know in your heart is that all white people are racist. There is no exception. Now, let me tell you what I mean when I say all whites are racist. Because some of you are confusing racism with bigotry. I don't think all white people are bigots. I don't think every white person wants to see every black person exterminated. I don't think every white person thinks every black person is inferior. I don't think every white person thinks they're better than every black person. That's bigotry. Racism has nothing to do with emotions. You know what racism is about? Control of resources, opportunities, and privileges. I want you to hear me when I say this. Racism is not about hating black people. Racism is about making sure white people keep their unfair advantage over us forever. So that means your white husband is a racist. Your white baby mama is a racist. Your white boss is a racist, because all white people benefit from black oppression. And there's not a single white person who would ever give up their white privilege to be mistaken for you. I was on the Joe Budden podcast the other day. And I said Eminem can never be considered the GOAT of hip hop because he's a Caucasian. I don't have nothing against Eminem. Never met him. Seemed like an okay guy. Pretty good lyricist. But hip hop is an African cultural expression. How the hell you gonna let an outsider come into your culture and then brand him the best of all time? See, that's the slave in you talking. That's your white Jesus conditioning. Black people are always looking for a white Jesus. I'm not talking about the Bible. And I'm not talking about the black Christ. I'm talking about the white counterfeit version they gave you. And so black people have this low self-esteem need to always make white people feel extra comfortable. This why whenever we fighting for black justice, we never keep the conversation focused on us. Every time you hear Negro talk about black injustice, they got to start mentioning other people. These other people never mention us. And then when they get all the resources, you get mad that black people got cut out, but that's your fault because you don't even prioritize your own people. That's right. See, when I speak, I only speak for Africans. I want what's best for the Latino family. I want what's best for the Asian family. I want what's best for the Arab family, the East Indian family. But when I speak, I only speak for my own. Not out of a selfishness, but out of the fact that we are always overlooked and undercounted. So I can't waste none of my breath speaking for other people because I ain't got enough time as it is to speak for you. Black people are racist. They called me a racist. I said, wait a minute. Do you know what racism is? You can accuse me of being prejudiced, but you can never accuse me of being racist. Prejudice is an attitude. Racism is power to enforce your attitude. If I get mad at a white person, I can't fire them from their job. I can't sabotage their mortgage. I can't expel their child from their white private school. I can't get the police to racially profile them. If I'm mad at white folks, all I can do is have a temper tantrum. But when you piss off a white person, her father is your boss. Her uncle is your child's football coach. Her cousin is the banker giving you your mortgage. When you piss off white people, it could bring down your whole house. That's racism. Don't you let no white person try to make you think you racist for exposing racism. As I close, I want to say thank you to those of you who stood by me the past 9 years as we raised and built the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. It wasn't an easy job, but we just about done. All the major repairs are done. We're down to the last couple of things we have to do, and if all goes well, there will be a grand opening this coming year at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. So make sure, if you flying, you fly into the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania International Airport, and the front door of our school is exactly 22 driving minutes from the airport. Wilmington, Delaware is Philadelphia's backyard like Fort Worth is for Dallas. And I want to see y'all there. Some of you may end up moving to Delaware, because not only will FDMG be a school for our children, it will be a black community organization center after school and on the weekends. We will have the Black Women's Conference. We will have the Natural Birthing Conference. We will have Ex-Offenders Conference, Black Men Conference. We will have Black Farmers Conference, Black Comic Book Conference, Black Authors Conference, Black Artificial Intelligence Conference. There will be a conference twice a month at FDMG. So please find the cheapest way for you to get to Philadelphia, by plane, by bus, by car. I don't give a damn if you get a skateboard, but make sure you got a way to get on up there. If you want to work at the school, send me your resume, fdmgresumes@gmail.com. Don't worry about being certified. Private school certifications are different from public. The only question I have for you, do you have something you know how to teach that our children need to learn? That's it. If you think you're a good reading teacher, send me your resume. Don't worry about the certification. You think you're a good math teacher, send me your resume. We'll test you out and see what you got. But not only that, I need men and women who know how to do African martial arts, because we're teaching it. I need men and women who know how to do natural hair care, because all the girls, when we open up the girls' school, we're going to start out with the boys. But within 3 to 5 years, we're going to have the girls' school, and all the girls got to be natural. So I need sisters who know how to teach the young princesses how to take care of their natural hair. I need people who know how to build websites. I need those who know how to do agriculture, solar power, documentary filmmaking. And then across the street at the Frederick Douglass High School, because we have 2 schools, not one. Across the street at the Frederick Douglass High School, when we're done renovating that, we're going to have plumbing, electric, HVAC, welding, roofing. We're going to make sure they got the skills that can pay the bills. We need secretaries, we need nurses, we need security guards, we need bus drivers, we need home and school, we need building engineers, AKA janitors. Right now, we need a roofer. If you know somebody who knows how to do roofing, we need a roofer right now. So brothers and sisters, I just want you to know that FDMG will be the place to be. And if you're thinking about moving out of Texas for a little while, you need a few years to yourself, come on up to Wilmington, Delaware. We're 40 minutes from Philly, 1 hour from Baltimore. And if you're thinking about it, make sure you go to wilmingtonlandbank.gov. wilmingtonlandbank.gov. They're selling houses for dollars, as long as you can prove you can get it fixed up within a certain amount of time. I know brothers and sisters already on it. I know a couple people that already bought their house and fixed it up already, because they want to be a part of what we're about to do. Because we're going to start an academic revolution, saving the race one black boy at a time. Take out your cell phone. I'm going to give you my phone number, so if you need to reach Dr. Umar, you can. I don't answer the phone, so you need to text me. I don't care how many times you call, I'm not answering. You need to text me. Phone number 215-989-9858. 2 more times. 215-989-9858. Once more. 215-989-9858. If any of you parents need a consultation about your child, They just got evaluated, and you don't know what to make of the psychological evaluation. That's why I am here. I charge $75 for a telephone consultation, $100 if you want to look at my beautiful face. But we will go through all of your child's paperwork and make sure you understand it and make sure we make the right decisions that are in the best interest of your child. For example, if your child is evaluated and you don't agree with the evaluation, you have a right to a second opinion. Did you hear what I just said? If they give you a report saying your child is retarded, you don't think your son is retarded, you can get a second opinion. All you have to do is write a letter to the principal. Dear Dr. Schwarzkopf, you evaluated my 3-year-old son, Raekwon. Y'all said he was reading disabled. I do not agree. I'm requesting my federal and state right to an independent educational evaluation. Once you approve my request, I will provide you with the name of the evaluating psychologist we have chosen. It's the law, and the school pays for it. Also, if your child is in special ed, they can only be suspended 10 total days out the entire school year. A regular ed kid can be suspended 10 days every incident. A special ed child can only be suspended 10 days from August to May, September to June. If your child is in special ed, which means they have an IEP, if they've been removed from school more than 10 total days, we need to have a conversation because you need to file for due process and make Fort Worth schools or Dallas schools or Houston schools or Austin schools or San Antonio schools pay for your child to go to a private school. The law says if you can prove that the school is not properly educating your disabled child, you can make them pay for a private school. I'm telling you the law. So if you need my help, you have my number. I don't ever want to hear about another parent in Fort Worth who had issues and didn't know what to do because you have your own personal school psychologist. Also, in the spring, I will be hosting my next Black College and Consciousness Tour for 12 to 17-year-old black children. If you have a son or daughter between the age of 12 and 17, you can send them on up to Wilmington, Delaware, and we're going to take a 2-week Black College and Consciousness tour. 14 days, 14 nights. They're going to Coppin State University, Bowie State University, Morgan State University, Howard University, University of Maryland Eastern Shore. They're going to Delaware State University, Cheney University, Lincoln University, Virginia State University, Hampton University, the National Great Blacks in Wax Museum, the Harriet Tubman Home, Frederick Douglass Home, the Benjamin Banneker Home, the Nat Turner Trail, Dorney Park, Great Adventures, the beach. Daytime, they learn about their history and they go to colleges. Nighttime, they get seminars with me in the hotel conference room. If any of you would like to be a chaperone, please let me know for the 2-week Black College and Consciousness Tour. And then I'm going to do one for the adults because a lot of you have never been to the HBCUs. A lot of you have never been to the Smithsonian National African American Museum or the Frederick Douglass House or the Nat Turner Trail, so you'll be able to fly into Philadelphia and take 2 weeks off of work and do the 2-week tour. Follow me on Instagram at Dr. Umar Johnson. Follow me on Twitter at Dr. Umar Johnson. Follow me on Facebook at Dr. Umar Ifatunde, or you can go to drumarjohnson.com and make sure you click on the right social media because the coons have created dozens and dozens of fake pages for Dr. Umar. And when you donate to the school, make sure you click on the right link because they've created dozens and dozens of fake Cash App and PayPal links. If you want the right donation link, please text me. I'll send it to you or go to the website. But please donate to the school because no one will be allowed inside that school when we have our grand opening if you did not donate to the effort. I want to close with a quote from my ancestor, Frederick Douglass. My family came to America in 1701. A black man named Bailey, stolen from the Igbo nation of Nigeria. He was brought to Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. He married a black woman by the name of Selah, for whom my 12-year-old daughter is named. In 1745, they had Grandmom Jenny. In 1774, they had Grandma Betsy. Grandma Betsy was born a slave, but she married a free black man, my grandfather Isaac. They had 12 children. One daughter was named Harriet, my auntie. Another daughter was named Young Betsy, my 5 times great-grandmother. And these 2 sisters were raped by Aaron Anthony, the white man who owned my family. And as a result of that rape, in February of 1818, Aunt Harriet gave birth to the greatest black leader to walk on American soil. His name was Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. At the age of 20, Cousin Frederick ran away from slavery, out of Baltimore, through Wilmington, through Philadelphia, and up into New York. He was reunited with his first wife, Anna Marie Douglas, who helped him escape, a blue, black, chocolate, purple, black woman who he was married to for 50 years before she died. And he changed his name from Frederick Bailey to Frederick Douglass to hide his identity on the fugitive slave trail. In 1819, my grandmother, Young Betsy, gave birth to Frederick's first cousin and half-brother, my 4 times great-grandfather, Stephen Henry Bailey. Frederick and Stephen were brothers because the slave master was their dad, but they were also cousins because the slave master raped 2 sisters. My grandfather, Stephen, married Grandma Caroline. She didn't learn how to read until 1909, the year the NAACP was founded. On November the 14th of 1841, 10 years after the Nat Turner War, they gave birth to my 3 times great-grandfather, George Washington Bailey, the first black public school teacher in Eastern Shore, Maryland. He married my grandmom, Annie. They had my grandmom, Caroline. Caroline moves to Philadelphia. She has my grandmother, Vivian. Grandma Vivian marries a Spanish-speaking Cuban immigrant, my great-grandfather Cicero from Havana, Cuba, who I met on his deathbed before he joined the ancestors. They had my grandmother, Ida Johnson. Grandmom Ida met and married James Johnson. They had my father, Jamal. He met and married Barbara in North Philadelphia. And on August the 21st, the anniversary of the Haitian Revolution, the anniversary of the Nat Turner Revolution, the anniversary of the George Jackson Prison Revolution, the first day Emmett Till showed up in Money, Mississippi, the day Fannie Lou Hamer showed up in Atlantic City to testify before the Democratic National Convention, giving birth to the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Dr. King didn't get us the Voting Rights Act. It was a black woman, Fannie Lou Hamer, who got us the Voting Rights Act. August the 21st. Some would say the original birth date of Jesus the Christ. I was born in North Philly. Frederick Douglass said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom but deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain but can't stand the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean, but they're scared of the awful roar of the water. Frederick Douglass said, a man may not get all you pay for, but you will pay for everything that you get. And if we as a people are ever to become free of the injustices inflicted upon us, we must pay for their removal. We may pay with words. We may pay with blows. We may pay with blood. We may pay with our life. But he who wants to be free must himself strike the first blow. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. Frederick Douglass said, for 20 years, I prayed on my knees to God for freedom. For 20 years I prayed, but the good Lord gave me no freedom till I got up off my knees and start praying with my feet. He said, the limits of tyrants is prescribed by the people they oppress. We decide how poorly white people treat us, not them. He said, if you want respect from white people, why do you look for pity? The man who pities you will never respect you, and the man who respects you has no need for pity. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who gave us the largest black organization in modern history, the only man to lead an intercontinental movement, and the only black man to mass organize black people without the use of religion. Marcus Garvey said, without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. Without confidence in yourself, you are twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, you have won even before you have started. Marcus Garvey said, if the black man and woman are not careful, you will drink in all the poison of American civilization and you will die from the effects of it. Marcus Garvey was once asked, are you an African or are you a Jamaican? And Marcus Garvey looked up and said, you ask me, am I African or am I Jamaican? And I tell you that I would never, ever give up a continent for an island. I am an African. Fort Worth, Texas. I want you to know they've been playing a game with Juneteenth. Juneteenth was not a day when General Gordon Granger rode into Galveston and read Special Order Number 3, emancipating blacks. Juneteenth was a day when black soldiers took it upon themselves to come into Texas and liberate their own black people. White folks had nothing to do with it. In fact, we didn't call it Juneteenth. We called it Black Liberation Day. And guess what? My grandfather, George Washington Bailey, the first black public school teacher in Dayton, Maryland, he was in Galveston, Texas on June 19th, 1865. You know why that's important? Because I'm sick and tired of these public schools telling black children that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. Abraham Lincoln didn't free no slaves. The slaves freed Abraham Lincoln, brothers and sisters. Without us, America would not exist. Without us, there would have been no Union victory. We are the fabric that held America together. And it is important for us to recognize that. Stop acting like a visitor in a house that you built. Black Power, Fort Worth, Texas. One love. I don't know if you want to do Q&A. You want to do a few questions? This is what I'm going to do real quick before we go to the photos. I'm going to take about 5 questions for the sake of time. And I don't want to be too long because of those who want to take a photo with Dr. I want to give you that. If you want to purchase a book in the lobby, you can use Apple Pay, Zelle, Venmo, money order, check, or cash. Make sure the money order is yours. I'm picking with you. Who has a question? I'm going to take 5. You're number 1. Brother right there is number 2. Brother right here is number 3. Do we have any women? Sister is 4, you're 5, and you're 6. And that's going to do it for the night. Number 1, and I will repeat the question. I think we can. The question is, are black men and women going to come together and start building the institutions that the community needs that will make it easier for our children to stay loyal to the community? The problem with us is we demand loyalty from a people we do nothing for. See, it's easy for Jewish children to stay loyal to the Jewish community because if they need a job, they're going to get one from inside the Jewish community. If they need money for college, they're going to get it inside the Jewish community. If the Chinese kid is having some issues, he can go to the Chinese community and they will take care of it. Our problem is our children have to go into somebody else's community in order to get a job. They got to go to somebody else's community in order to get their needs met. If we want black people to be loyal to black people, we better start giving them a reason to be loyal. Build institutions. Institutions are half of the solution. White supremacy is crushing us because we are dependent on the white man for services. School, bank, hospital, supermarket, manufacturing, and distribution. Those are the essentials that we need, and nobody's building it. We're sitting around waiting for reparations. We're sitting around waiting for the presidential election. We're sitting around waiting for Jesus to come back. No. The job is us to do. And I'm going to say this, black folks. God is in no rush to come and help us because we have abandoned our faith in supreme consciousness. And I say that because we have become the most materialistic, parasitic people in this country. There is nothing in your behavior that resembles someone who is spiritually yoked. You cannot be that obsessed with fake hair, white girls, Mercedes-Benz, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Balenciaga. There's no way you can be this materialistic, wasting all your disposable income on useless European junk, and our children don't even have a decent school to go to, and you think Jesus is coming to help you. I think not. God will come when you're ready to receive. We ain't ready to receive. We are the biggest hypocrites in America because we sit by, do nothing for ourselves, and then blame the white man when there's a problem. The crime in our community, we gave birth to that. Those children who out here killing each other, they're doing it because we didn't raise them properly. The black community is dealing with its own karmic reaction of the poor raising of its children. It's on us to do the work. Can we, my brother? Yes. Will we? We got to make that decision. Who's our number two? King. Absolutely. You don't align with any party. You stay independent. I do not vote for black politicians who are not independent candidates. If you are not an independent candidate, you don't have an independent voice, you don't have an independent mind, you don't have an independent agenda, you are a Democratic Party slave or Republican Party slave. I do not vote for black people if they're not independent. Because if you come to me and say, Dr. Umar, I'm a Democrat or Republican, I know you have no control over what you do after you get elected. Because the Democrats financed you, the Democrats publicized you, and now they own you. This is why every black person, most black people elected in Texas, Pennsylvania, California, Phoenix, Arizona, where I'll be tomorrow, or Detroit, where I'll be Saturday. The reason they do nothing for us is every black politician in our community is financed by enemies of the community. If we want you to be successful, and if you want to be successful, you cannot take money from any other race. You must get your money from your own people so you have a free hand and a free voice once you get into office. As I always tell people, show me the campaign contributors, and I'll show you what they're going to do after they get elected. There has never been an elected official that has ever went against the hand that fed them. Never. Look at who financed Joe Biden. Look at who financed Barack Obama. Look at who finances the mayor of Fort Worth, Texas, or Dallas, and you will see exactly why they do what they do. The money never lies. Keep yourself independent. Keep yourself independent. It's the only way to do it, brother. If you start taking money from white folks, you're useless to the black community. White people do not fund us to help us. They fund us to control us. Number three, King.
I'm a teacher.
Yes, sir.
Physics, biology, chemistry. So I'm your guy. So we're going to listen to All right. Here's my question, and it's a piggyback to what he said.
Yes, sir.
We need more of you, but you are only you.
Yes.
But FDMG, the entity, serves as what Stokely Carmichael said, an opportunity to organize.
Yes.
We can mobilize.
Yes.
But we need to organize.
Yes.
How do we duplicate FDMG here?
When I was school shopping for FDMG, I was looking in Texas too. And the reason we didn't end up in Texas is y'all didn't do enough to help me find a school. It's that simple. People were dependent on me to do everything, and they still do. I would love to have a school here. All y'all got to do is get me the building. We don't need nothing from the government. And I know y'all got empty schools around here. I know y'all do. Find one of the smaller empty schools in Fort Worth. We should be able to get it for free. If we can't, if it's low cost, we can do a fundraiser and get that money. But let's choose the target school and let's go from there. We don't have to wait for Delaware to open for Fort Worth, Texas FDMG to get started. Do y'all feel me? All we need is the building. Also, I'll be coming back to Texas because I have to do my Black Parent Know Your School Rights boot camp. I do a training that's 12 hours long, 8 in the morning to 8 at night. I'm going to come back. I'm going to talk to Pastor. We might do it here. I'm going to train you on how to be an advocate, and I want you to start a chapter of the National Independent Black Parents Association. This is an organization to organize our parents to fight against racism in the schools in 7 key areas: special education racism, school discipline racism, school finance racism, school policy racism, parent advocacy, which means I need some of y'all to go with our parents into these meetings, because you should never go to a school meeting by yourself. I hope all my mothers just heard me. Never go to the school to meet about your child by yourself. Take somebody with you. You need a witness to the crime. Then there's also social support, and there's also homeschooling. For the parents who want to homeschool their children, we want to organize you so y'all can work together. I don't know why we got so many parents homeschooling on their own, where we could come together and homeschool together. If you homeschool together, everybody's job get easier. He could be the math teacher Monday, she the science teacher Tuesday, he African martial arts Wednesday, he's language arts on Thursday, somebody else on Friday. We need NIBPA. Speaking of NIBPA, on January the 31st, and this is an invitation, I will be leading my first protest in the name of the NIBPA in the national movement to save black boys. There's a black boy by the name of Brendan Depper in Bunell, Florida. He beat up his teacher's assistant. He can go to jail for 30 years. His sentencing is going to be on January the 31st, and we will be having a protest outside of the Kim C. Hammond Justice Center in Bunell, Florida from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m., and I invite you all to come and stand with us. We don't want to see this black boy get legally lynched. Why? Because he should have never been in that school. He was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, intermittent explosive disorder, autism, anxiety disorder, ADHD, conduct disorder. Why in the hell was he not in a special ed school? Why didn't he have a one-on-one aide? He should have never been in the school. And check this out. He attacked the teacher's aide because the classroom teacher took his Nintendo Switch. Guess who asked for the Nintendo Switch to be brought into the school? The IEP team. They requested his video game be brought into the school and used as a consequence. And the very video game that the white folks asked for is the video game that can get him sentenced to 30 years in prison. And guess what? 2 white students in the same high school also beat up their teachers and didn't spend 1 day in jail. Can I give you one more fact? How many of y'all remember A.J. Owens, the black woman in Florida who was shot by the old white lady through the door when she went to recover her child's toy? That white woman shot A.J. Owens, single black mother of 3 or 4, through a locked metal screen door. She's also in custody. Guess how much time she can do in prison? 30 years. So somebody answer me a question. How can a woman who shot somebody with willful and deliberate intent through a locked metal screen door with a gun, how can that be the same punishment for a black boy who punched his teacher's assistant a couple times? They can both do 30 years. So we are going to Bunell, Florida to say Brendan Depper will not be another Emmett Till. And if any of you have any issues like this, don't take it silently. You have my number. Call me. If I got to come to Fort Worth and we got to protest for your child, we will do it. Stop letting these white folks think they can do what they want to our children and get away with it. We got to stand up and stand out. We are not going to overcome this. Voting and praying has its place, but there's something just as powerful as both, and that's activism. And we as black people got to get back into the streets. Do you realize everything we got in America, we got through the streets? We didn't get the Voting Rights Act through Congress. We got the Voting Rights Act through the streets. We got the Civil Rights Act through the streets. We got out of slavery through fighting. You can't name anything black people in America got because we voted for it. We fought and we died for it. The road to justice is paved with blood. And many of you are Christian. And I'm trying to understand how my Christian brothers and sisters got a problem with struggling when you believe the very essence of your faith is that God sent his only begotten son as a sacrifice. How you believe in a religion where God sent his son as a sacrifice, but you don't think you got to do no sacrifice. Jesus could spill his blood for you, but you ain't got to spill your blood for our children. Come on. There is no redemption without bloodshed. That's as true for Jesus Christ as it is for Fort Worth, Texas. And as the good book says, don't be afraid to fight, because those who try to save their life will lose it. And those who offer their life might just save it. None of us know how long we're going to be on this planet. You have a birth date that you know, and you have a death date that only God knows. And between your birth date and your death date is a hyphen, and that hyphen represents everything you did on this earth from the time you came to it to the time you left. You better fight now, because how you know next week ain't your day to go home? How you know next year ain't your day to go home? Some of y'all think y'all going to live to be 80 and 90 and 100, and I hope you do. But one thing is for certain and two things for sure. When you was in heaven before you came into this world, you negotiated a purpose with God. And once your purpose is fulfilled, God will take you back. So you had better get busy working and struggling for black people and making the next generation's life a lot better than our own. Because there is a sin called cowardice. And a lot of us are going to check out early because our lives don't mean a damn thing to nobody but ourselves. Who's my number 4? Queen. Peace and love. Ah. Are you currently in Chicago? Okay. Yes. Let's start with the ADHD. The treatment for black boys is given black male teachers. The treatment for black boys is black men in the community need to organize and spend time with our sons so they're not stressing you out in the classroom. Because not only is ADHD ain't no daddy at home disorder, okay, it's also artificial diet at home disorder. Our children are consuming too much sugar, caffeine, high fructose corn syrup. And let me tell you what a lot of teachers are calling ADHD. It is the sugar withdrawal symptoms in the classroom that's being called ADHD. That's not ADHD. He is a sugar addict, and he's having withdrawal symptoms because he need a fix. See that? And then ADHD can also be attachment disruption due to home life dysfunction. Sex abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, sibling abuse, parent divorce, parent trauma, domestic abuse. There's a lot of reasons for why these kids can't sit still that have nothing to do with the neurological basis of their brain. Autism, make sure they're not a speech and language child. I don't want to hear anything about your child being autistic if they haven't had speech and language therapy for 2 years. Because many of the kids who are being called autism are simply speech and language delayed. Give them some speech therapy, but I do want to say this. If your child needs speech therapy, don't leave it up to the public school. I suggest you get in touch with the African American Speech and Language Pathologists Association. Find you a private black speech pathologist in this section of Texas and pay them to work with your son or daughter for 1 or 2 hours a week. I'm telling you now, the speech pathologists who work for the public schools and the charter schools, they are lazy and they are not putting in work with our kids. That's why your child been getting speech therapy for 5 years, still stuttering, still can't articulate because they're not working with them. You get what you pay for. Pay for your own therapist. Take your fingernail money and pay for your own therapist. Same thing. Your child got reading issues, math issues. Well, guess what? You can close a reading gap 2 grades in 6 months. You can close a math gap 2 grades in 6 months. They don't need an IP. Get them a tutor. Why can't you find a retired teacher? Raise your hand. We got any retired teachers in here right now? Any retired teachers? We ain't got none in here. There go 1 over there. There go 2 over there. Find you a retired teacher and ask them to tutor your child. That will be far more effective than any incarceration education preparation program will ever be. You understand? Retired teacher, college student, high school student, stay away from special education. I'm telling you, it is nothing but the school to prison pipeline. Special ed was created to turn black children into a permanent underclass. You have my number? Let's talk to see how I can help you. No problem. And I congratulate you on that. Who's my number 5? There was another queen. Talk to me, queen. Peace and love. I haven't. I do plan to speak with the white attorney, but from what I understand, they were hired by his white foster parents. Brendan Depper, the 18-year-old who can go to jail for 30 years, he was raised from birth by a white mother and a white father. And they hired the attorney. I don't think the attorney is going to do much communicating with me. I'm planning to communicate with Brendan Depper, but since he's 18 now, I'm going to plan to communicate with him myself, okay? The mother has been reaching out to me, and I'm conflicted whether I want to talk to the snow bunny or not. And the reason I'm conflicted, listen, the reason I'm conflicted, she's part of the reason he's in the condition he's in. Why didn't you properly advocate for this black boy? Why did it take this? And now you all over the news crying like you care, but if you really cared, you had this boy since birth. Since birth. How did he get post-traumatic stress disorder? How did he get intermittent? I can see if you got him at 8, 9, 10. You had him since he was born. How did he get all these mental health issues on your watch? So I'm kind of torn about speaking with her. And I know she's only reaching out to me because the other people turned her down. Benjamin Crump turned her down. Yeah. Ain't no money in it. NAACP also turned her down. That's one of my questions. Remember, the lawyer originally entered a plea that he was not competent to stand trial. The judge determined that he was. Now check this out. The same lawyer who said he wasn't competent to stand trial then convinced him to plead guilty. If he was incompetent to stand trial, why would you convince him to plead guilty? So he's being railroaded, and he's surrounded by nothing but white folks, and we going down there to let him know there's black people who care. If he gets convicted, I plan to try to find another lawyer and appeal the decision on his behalf. We got to start fighting for our children. I got another case in Pittsburgh. Listen to this. Our children are catching hell. This is why we got to organize. In Pittsburgh, a white boy beat up a black girl in school, threw her under the desk, stomped on her, called her the N-word, and gave her a concussion. This is 2 weeks ago. Guess what the punishment was for both students? A 3-day suspension. The girl who got stomped and got the concussion has the same punishment as the white boy who did it. So I'm working with her mother now because we might got to go to Pittsburgh in protest. So again, I invite you all to get organized with me. I invite you to come to Boonell. If you want the flyer, text me for it. But if anything goes down in Dallas-Fort Worth, I want to know about it. We got to stop being scared of white folks because our children are suffering. Final question. We had one last one. Who was that last hand? Queen, you'll be the last one for the night. Peace and love, sister. Yes. The Emmett Till anti-lynching bill was passed a couple months ago, signed into law by President Joe Biden. As y'all know, it's the first anti-lynching bill that ever passed in this country. Ida B. Wells tried to get so many of them done, and it never worked. The problem with the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill is weak as butter. It has no teeth in it. It's multicultural. It's not just for black folks. And here's the biggest kicker. The white woman, Mrs. Bryant, who got Emmett Till lynched, just joined her racist ancestors about a month or two ago. The Emmett Till bill wasn't even strong enough to get her convicted or arrested. Did y'all hear what I said? You name this the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, and you can't even use it to lock up the woman who got Emmett Till lynched. I know, the legislation is all empty words. It's all empty words. And we got to stop falling for it. Like you said, Joe Biden signed a marijuana legislation. He said if anybody is locked up in the federal prisons for marijuana possession above this amount, you're automatically exonerated. Guess what the problem was? Not a single black person in the country was locked up for that particular charge. Y'all see how they play with us? They play with, because they know we ain't going to do the research. So to your point, Queen, we got to stop falling for things like that. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Where you want me to do the book signing and the pictures at, Bob?
Just saying, I got it.
I'm going to go back.
Okay, Zawadi, before you go, Zawadi, come on. You got to move quick. Zawadi writers, they were supposed to share with us real quick, and they're going to share. Y'all be patient with them. Just sit down for a second. They'll be done. They came all the way here. Come on, brother. Come on. Wait.
Tonight, let us dance for the ancestors until our feet become numb. Until our very fingertips began to bleed in the quarter, we can no longer strum till our drums crowd for rest under the beating of our palms. Let the elders sit in red sand, sacrificing white chickens, pouring libation, offering prayers until the deities succumb. Until our village is pure again. Until our village is purged from sin, and we no longer run from the fear within to be as gods and command the moon to stand still in the night sky. Stand still. Long enough for us to make love to our women. Stand still. Long enough for us to kiss our children upon their foreheads and tell them, fare thee well into the night. Stand still. Long enough for us to pick up our spears, pick up our shields, paint our faces, and sing out loud in the war cries of our tribe, running fearlessly into the fight, pulling every star from the sky, stringing it upon bow about vine, placing it about our necks, crushing mountains with our bloody feet, ripping valleys with our bloody hands. And at that point, when the Olodumare shall rise from the secret places within, we shall wrap our hands tight around their delicate white necks. We shall look them in the eye, and with the voices of God, we shall scream, we are more than men. We are more than men. Shh. No. See, you don't talk that kind of talk around here. That kind of talk around here, get your ass sold and bought, bitty. Get some rope tied around your neck or some hide torn from your back. You young niggas crazy. Always running around here talking about Africa. You think that kind of talk gonna make that man forget that you black? Hell no, son. See, I learned you how to get the man off your back. See, when you dance, well, you don't dance nothing but that old cakewalk and jubilee, and you just smile. And when you sing, well, you better not sing about nothing but Jesus and your heavenly crown, and you just smile. And when they call you a nigga, well, you better not do nothing but bow your head and smile. You better not fight nothing but the sun, the plow, the mule, and that pain in your back, and just smile. You see, this is the very essence of me and every African American. The American nigga always smiling and bowing, and the African always angry and yearning to be free. And as these two beings battle in the bareness of my womb, I'm left here confused, not knowing where to turn, where to go, or what to do. But this I know, sooner or later, one of these niggas must die. My only question, my only concern, my only worry is which one? My name is Chuck Jackson. I'm from here, Fort Worth, Texas. I want to let y'all know, all right, on January the 23rd of 2024, Fort Worth, Texas will make history with the launch of my picture book, Elijah's Easter Soup, published by Penguin Random House and Doubleday. This will be the first book about the holiday of Easter, all right, that is written by a black person with a black main character. Come to the launch on January 23rd. Now, something very special about this book that I want to say that our sister Sojourner Truth said, I sell the shadow so I can keep the substance. The shadow, the cover, is about a little black boy trying to get fly for Easter. The substance is when he runs into the elders of his community, they tell him that it is better to be a creator than a consumer. They tell him that it is better to be a maker than a buyer. And just like our brother Dapper Dan, just like our brothers who had to build their own haberdasheries and fashion industry from the ground up, he learns that skill. So please come check it out. Follow me on social media, Brentham Jackson, all social media. And I'm gonna turn it over to Zawadi Ryder. Was that? Where? I'll get you a flyer right here. January 23rd, Doc Bookshop. All right, check out the Doc Bookshop table. Come see me.
Good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. First, I want to say, giving honor to God, to our ancestors, to Reverend Bell, to the great Minister Lee Muhammad, to our guest speaker, the Dr. Umar Johnson, and to the great two women of the Doc Bookshop, Donna and Dunya Craddock. See, I want to say this because this is my 10th book. You can buy any of my books at the Doc Bookshop. So I had to come and I wanted to read something out of this book, and I really wanted Brother Umar to hear this piece because I was doing this piece at Stagville Plantation in North Carolina, and I was doing live on IG, and IG shut down. And there was a breeze in the video, and there wasn't no wind out anywhere. The trees wasn't moving, but there was a breeze in the video. You could hear the wind blowing. So I figured my ancestors were with me, and some of those trees that fell down had gave up. So let me read this poem, Breath. It's from the Lost Book of Black, and it's a black book with black pages. It's 496 pages. Anyway, let's get it. There are days curiosity overtakes my beliefs. I've dreamed dreams of regret, of arrival of pain unbearable, too heavy to remember. Dream dreams converting struggle into manifest destiny. I wonder, can we, the melanated, on any of these days, others sacrifice breath to make possible? There should be a list bearing the names of those on which backs we stand. Do you know how many bones it takes to make a Monday? How many midwives were forced to sacrifice their breast milk to create a Sunday morning proper, amen included? How can we protect and serve our communities when we fail to protect ourselves from those sworn, dressed, and salaried to protect and serve us? Ancestors would declare these men the same men out for bounty. Men of quota, secret militia, Second Amendmenting, need to capture, to catch, to seize every opportunity they see one of us alone, riding, walking. These days you can be with family, attending a gathering of us. It would not matter how safe you see yourself. There's no safe here. Never have been, never will be. I bet you think our black man easily. Bet you think this skin don't bullseye, don't blister, don't bleed like it used to. Don't price tag absent ships or blocks. Do not go to the highest bidder, as if these feet didn't come attached to thousands of miles of running before I learned how to use them. I wonder if, like me, you believe we've embellished the reason for the Civil War, the 1619 Project, the Emancipation Proclamation documentation, the 3/5 Clause. You ever wonder why we've been unable to capture the elusive free? Could it be we have too many teeth, too much blood in the game to add more bones and sacrifices that they did before us as we're doing now? Bet you think we learned to black man in the dark of night from black men. We did, but they had crash courses in black men before there were crashes or courses. Years before they were ever called black or man, before they could stand back straight, head raised, and not say massa or yes sir. I'm guessing you believe our black ain't good because I'm black. Because I learned to white right at midnight, because these fingers are good at white bulbing and white pages, like it ain't retro to me to fit perfectly in 6x9, like 6x6 ain't how we got here. Boxed and bunked tightly, living in minimum amount of space, allowed to only breathe. I bet you think our black man easy. As if you can't see the struggle in these legs, attempting to keep this body upright. It's getting harder to balance every day since I discovered how many ancestors' backs I've been standing on. Are you aware these feet been worn before? been ran before. I've dreamed dreams of running, of greener pastures, of fields of dreams without a crop quite in top, or wheat, or tobacco green, or cane. I've dreamed dreams of ancestors, peacefully dreaming, sleeping in the clouds, awaiting the Constitution in heaven to change, rid itself of the 3/4, the 2/3, the 1/2, whatever clause is keeping us out because of color. We must find a way to remove America's teachings from our degrees of difficulties. I guess that you believe I black ain't good because I'm black. Like it ain't retro to me, fit perfectly in 6x9, like 6x6 ain't how we got here, all cell blocked in as if we were not boxed in darkness before auction. I bet you think a black man easy if you can't see the struggle in his legs, fighting to keep this body upright. I watched my father fight to keep his head up, body upright, saw how complicated it was for him to breathe. It's getting even harder to balance every day after learning how many ancestors' throats, backs, and necks we've been standing on to see what next might be. Did you know you can't poem your truth, your lyrics, until you get America out of your English? Remove the trail of plantations, traces of broken branches from the cotton on your tongue. There are thieves congregating in the puddle of forgotten languages, trapped in the bottom of our throats. Your mouth full of leaves can't salvage a tale of woes we've been living. There are stories we can't tell, still waiting for truth to surface. Raise itself from unmarked graves. I bet the tree of your family has been broken since Harriet. Can't sky search underground on your behalf, cannot find the roots in your song. The treble in your voice ain't bass, ain't saxophone enough. The drum of our emotions reverberate from the shores of every continent and island in existence. You ever wonder why nowhere on this globe no black body could find some free?
Come on, put your hands together. Come on, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Zawadi writers, I apologize. I apologize, brothers. Listen. Dr. Umar is going to be standing here. Come on, Al, if you got something, tell me real quick, son. Okay. Dr. Umar is going to be standing here. Let's do this. Let's get that table out of the way, too. Let's get that table out of the way. Yep, just set it over there, my brother. Dr. Umar is going to be standing here. If you get a book, the books are out there, and he only has a limited number of books. If you go get a book, he's going to autograph the book right here as well. So if you go get a book, he's going to autograph the book right here as well. You know how we close this? We say Harambe. Each time we say Harambe. Okay, then watch this. We do it, and on the 7th time we hold it. You ready? Let's go. Harambe! 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 Black power!
This is what we're going to do, family. If you want a photo, or if you need your book signed,